But I mean, even if you look at that though, if you look at Apple, what does Apple solve? What is their why? Why do they exist? Because they only own 3% of the market, yet they own 90% of the oxygen in the marketing area. So what is it that makes them any different than Dell, HP, Hewlett Packard? They have a why. Their why comes from challenging the status quo.
Do
That's
you know
their
where their
why.
why came from?
That was from Wozniak and was technically mainly from Wozniak. And what he wanted to challenge the big enterprises with putting a computer in everybody's home so that
Yep.
that you wouldn't have that oligarchy of those with computers and those without.
And do you know what? Do you know what ended up making Steve Jobs be able to learn how to tell the story?
Well, there's a couple of different ones, so I'm going to let you tell the version that you're thinking of.
So if he would have never went into the coffee shop and ended up creating Pixar and
Uh,
taking some of the or I can't remember what they're called, animators or whatever from Disney that wanted to go digital, and Disney was still saying nothing will ever go digital. We can't go down that road. We've been doing it this way for this many years,
right.
and from the story I heard,
Uh-huh.
he met them and they were talking inside of a coffee shop, and he goes, "I like that idea." Well, the very first Pixar film was so they left Disney. They started Pixar. Disney knew they were going to do it, and he got some funding and all that different stuff that came into the whole piece.
Uh-huh.
But the very first story was Toy Story. Well,
Mhm.
during that process of working with the Disney engineers or Disney designers or animators, whatever they're called, he learned how to be able to tell a story.
Right.
So he got kicked out of Apple,
Mhm.
lost almost everything, went and
Sure.
started another company, it failed, went and started another company, it failed. I
Mm.
think he had two or three failures in between.
Yeah.
Started Pixar, learned how to tell a story, and Apple's like, hey, we'd really like to have you back to come in and take over. He sold Pixar over to Disney,
Yeah.
went back into Apple, but he learned how to tell a story because Disney knows how to be able to tell a story.
Right.
And with anything you do inside of any kind of marketing or any advertising or anything like that, if you don't have a good story that
Mhm.
hooks somebody in and they understand what you do and they can vision themselves using the product,